The Game Boy Color, spelt without the U as Nintendo hated the British and had to keep that sweet U under lock and key so that it could be used for their oddly titled Wii U console. A name that has always made me wonder, is Nintendo run by actual people? Well, the short answer to that is no. The long answer to that, however, is no. The GBC was neat enough though and sold fucking millions as a result. Many a developer would dip their toes in the waters as well, with Square flexing its Final Fantasy boner with the Legend games, Konami bringing over Castlevania, for better or worse, and eventually Capcom would take its flagship franchise Resident Evil and turn it into a homoerotic episode of The Love Boat.
The Love Boat. We got Leon and Barry sucking each other's dicks on the Love Boat. Putting suntan lotion on each other's backs, sucking each other's dicks in the crew cabin. I'm just making up shit, I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, this is basically a story about a bear and a twink rummaging about on an abandoned cruise ship. Said bear being Barry, and said twink being pre-RE4 nerdlinger Leon. Cause when a viral outbreak happens on a luxury passenger ship, who else would you send in to clean up the mess? You can't go off killing zombies without being toned and tanned after all, and so they slip and slide their way through a fairly traditional survival horror game with the puzzles, and the backtracking, and the inventory management. However, Game Boy a fuck, because 2 buttons. And as such, whenever one gets zommed up proper, you switch to a first-person angle where you need to hit the nub with the sliding nipple to do damage. And where this might seem kind of unique and or neat on paper, it is actually astonishingly awful in its execution.
Oh no.
Maybe this is an emulator thing, though given how many GBA games I've played on this perfectly, I kinda doubt it. In either case, timing the sliding tip nip thingy is rather quite hard. There's a bit of a delay between when you press button and when it registers, and you also have a wee second of cooldown after each try. All of which add to the "what the fuck? I pushed button, why didn't it work?" vibes that the game is drenched in. And of course, this is Resident Evil, so you have limited ammo, thus limiting your tries, often leaving you with nothing but a knife to fend off the Zamps, which does fuck all damage, when they can kill you in 3 or so hits. One could be inclined to think that this is the game's way of telling you to avoid combat, which would have been fine if it was, considering that that's how survival horror games typically play, only the zombies are placed in such a manner where they will bar your way or certain entrances entirely. And once you get an earshot, you'll get sucked into their laggy orb of panic, where they'll most likely get you. You can push them away like normal, sure, but this still instigates a battle, thus putting you back into the fuck zone. And while you can run away just as well, you do so in a way very similar to the combat, except worse, what with the nip hittage still allowing ye old Zambo to get a quick hit in. It's frustratingly broken, from what I can tell. Perhaps I'm missing something here, but it feels very trial and error-y, and not in a good way. As it is, Gaiden became a game of dying over and over, making incremental bits of progress every lifetime, especially early on. All of this could very well be a way to artificially lengthen the playtime, given that it's only about an hour or 2 long, but whichever way you look at it, the core gameplay ranks quite extensively high on the bupkis spectrum, and I did not enjoy dealing with it even remotely. Though the game almost became okay after I restarted the whole thing once over, ran past most zombies while hoarding items like a motherfucker, but even doing that fucked my ass up in the long run, as all of the puzzles consist out of finding keys, and all keys are found on corpses, often stemming from a completely random zamp. This is fucking bullshit. For the entire first area, the game conditions you to run away, what with the combat being awful, your resources being mad scarce, and the combat being awful. But there they go, placing plot-crucial puzzle items on completely indistinguishable zombies. Ooh. Even like the captain's cabin key is found on just some random dude guy instead of someone who actually looks like they would be part of the crew or, you know, the fucking captain. Even Resident Evil Dead A managed to get at least that right. It's just bad design, pretty much, which is straight up all that Gaiden has to offer just as well. You run about rooms, shoot zombies by way of a boring minigame, get item, repeat. There isn't anything fun or rewarding about doing this. There's no tension. All you get is, oops, I died, let me respawn right where I was, and plenty of frustration while you're caught in between being stuck, confused, or bored. One significantly big smear that severely stains the game as a whole is the entire fucking audio department. I mean, Resident Evil, if anything, is at least a series that sounds good. RE6 may very well be described as, but RE2, 1, 3, 4, Code V, Dead Aim, Revelations 1 and 2, just pretty much all of them really have haunting music with swelling strings and twinkly little piano dinkies. The safe rooms are soothing, beautiful, yet appropriately unsettling given what awaits outside. So, how does RE Gaiden reflect this legacy? Now, I know, this is a game for a handheld system from the mid-90s which had its limitations. But if Mario could sound like this, and Metal Gear Solid could sound like this, then surely Resident Evil could have also sounded something like this. But it doesn't. Sound effects are aplentiful, and with the Game Boy having fuck all channels to give, it just starts blending, layering, and violently interrupting what badly composed music there may have been. It's very fucking grating, to put it lightly, which, as you may have already figured, does not make the boring monotony of the gameplay any easier to digest. And, yeah, that's quite disappointing. I had hoped this to be a wee neat curiosity, a fun little game for a fun little video, but instead I fell into a stunningly incompetent piece of garbage of which I have no plans of completing or reviewing properly. I mean, hell, given that most RPG Maker games function very similarly to RE1, there's really no excuse for it to play as poorly as it does. They could have gone for slightly higher grade Pokemon graphics, with the puzzles just like normal, some trigger-based spooks, and combat involving little pip bullets, or even just a system that it already has, just less broken and easier to avoid. But sadly, they released this and cancelled the infinitely better RE1 port. Though I will admit that even that looked a little bit awkward, but you know, I'd rather have that.